Look at that.
A short intro because we have so much to say. I chose the short one.
Very nice.
Yep. I want to make sure I have the chat actually on. So if anyone's talking, yep. And look at this. We can see our names. We can see the chat. We're getting pretty fancy.
It's almost like we've done this before.
That's it. Well, now we're doing it twice a month, so this is going to be even better, right? So yeah. So I want to say hi to everybody, and if you're new to lives, the only way we know you're here is if you make a comment. Otherwise, you can be a fly on the wall, not a problem. But if you want to make a comment and let us know you're here, or just tell us where you're from, that'll be great. And we were talking before we went live about some of the comments I'm hearing, Karen's hearing, Charlotte's hearing around the market shifting. So for anybody new, I'm a business coach. Karen's a real estate broker and a producing agent. Charlotte manages a mortgage company, a lot of lenders. So you've got some expertise here. The chat just disappeared. Okay, there it goes. All right, so we got Ivanka. There you go. I had to change it. So the market is shifting for some. I still have agents that have multiple offers, 0 days on market. Somebody put something on the market today and had like 12 offers, and then I have other agents that are noticing a shift. Days on market, price reductions. So Charlotte, you go first, because you were saying your people aren't seeing any of that.
Yeah, so it's interesting that, and I was telling Tanya just before that, recently I've been in multiple groups, whether that be local groups or big networking groups, and I keep on hearing that, in this tough market, and I'm going, what are we doing different? Because the team that I've got, granted I have an amazing team, but we're experiencing right now, year over year, we're better. We've had best months ever, and my team was with me in 2020 and 2021 when we were couldn't keep up with the business, and we are beating those months right now.
That's impressive.
Right? It is impressive. And I think that comes down to one, consistency. That's the one thing I was looking at. I'm like, where is it that maybe the team that I've got right now and their production, what is keeping their numbers up? And I think, Karen, you said mindset, and I think that's it. But I also think there is a tendency that people that don't have the drive when the business slows down, they take that as a little bit of a break. Is it which is, I get it. They've run really hard and now the business is slowed down. They're like, okay, I'm going to take this as a breather. I don't think my team takes the breathers. I think that they dig in faster. And I've asked them this because I'm asking him, what are you guys doing? You guys are amazing, But I think that it is that mindset that when they have that time down, instead of thinking, okay, I'm going to take that breather, or the market's slow, so I'm just going to go with the market. They're like, no, I'm going to try faster so that I still beat it to the next level. I think that's what I'm seeing on my side.
So I was gonna say, Karen, you next. However, I want to segue into what you just said, where some people are slowing down, and I always want everybody to slow down and take a break, have a vacation, right? However, 2 month, maybe not a 2 month vacation, right? So I don't want to say I want somebody to be on a treadmill nonstop, right? As a coach, that is not okay. And one of the podcasts I was listening to when I was driving from San Francisco to Oregon, it was a business owner saying, when markets change, rather we're realtor, lending, doesn't matter. Everybody's business has cycles. Mm-hmm. I coached a lady that made stationery, right? Invitations, cards, and she had cycles. Business owners have cycles, and so when the cycle changes, we want to run to the change. So that's why I said, you were saying your people are running to it. It's like a firefighter runs to the fire, right? So if a realtor is noticing a shift, then we need to run to the shift and look at the opportunities. Do I do more open houses now that I have the time? Do I do a workshop? So I want my clients and anyone listening, this is what, if it is shifting for you, we want to run to the shift versus hiding under the bed.
I think I think that is the biggest difference is they embrace that change. It's the embracing of the change, like seeing the opportunity in it and being very proactive, it's that proactivity, not the reactivity. And
all of us have been through different markets, right? I survived 2008, 2009 with short sales, right? So I was teaching people how to do short sales. Okay, this is going to be corny. What goes up must come down, right? So we hit the market up here, it's got to come down. And then it will go down to the bottom, and then it will go back up again, right? So it's going to shift. So I don't know if I interrupted officially, Karen, but I was going to go last. However, it's your turn. So what's your 2 cents about this?
So I think I used the technical term wonky.
Yep.
Because it isn't necessarily one way or the other for us. And I work in enough different markets that I think I can speak for a wide scope. Mm-hmm. And if I could say anything, it's to lean into what you were just talking about, like, run toward the change. Because what I see changing more than anything is our role. So our company, thank goodness, year over year, same thing. Our numbers are up. We have plenty of things going on. However, it is different. It is no longer get a phone call, sign a listing, put a sign up, and review offers 7 days later. And we have a lot of agents in the business that have only worked that market.
Agree.
And so now that there's listing interviews, right? Sellers are taking a little bit more time and care with who they list with. We also have to talk to them about days on market. We have to prepare them for what that looks like and what we do during that time. So, I was kind of talking about it like the meeting of the waves. The wave has been going one direction for so long, and it is looking like it's shifting. But right now, where I would say we are is sort of in this wonkiness, not sure which way it's going to go. Yeah. I'm not even convinced that the wave is actually changing directions. It is just simply in a wonky place right now. And I described it as what we've seen. Neighbor A will go on the market and be in contract in 7 days, and neighbor B, no showings and no evident reason for it other than just it being wonky. Now there are, obviously other things that are happening during a shift like this where listing agents have to prepare themselves better for getting the sellers to understand what needs to be done to list a home. And that's a part of it too, that's kind of creating a bit of this gap where things are staying on the market longer, not because there aren't buyers, but the mark was missed on the initial input to the market. Condition, pricing, all these things that are kind of new for some agents.
Yeah. Well, I've coached a few people that started their real estate career around 2018, 2019. So they don't know any other market. They got to ride the wave of COVID, right? And so now some of them are, I don't want to say freaking out, but close to whatever is right before freaking out. Because they don't know about days on market. It's like, well, how do I figure that out? Because they've never had, since 2019, that was never a question. No. During COVID, days on market was 2 days.
Yes. Right. And I would even take it back a few years before that, at least for our market, that, we have people in the business for a decade that have not seen this. And so, right, there's a little bit of freak out happening that doesn't really need to happen, and that's not helping.
Right. Yeah.
And on the mortgage side, this is interesting in that applications are coming in flooded, nothing. Instead of that, normally you're going to have a lot for a while and then it kind of drops. And then, it's like this. Right now it's high, low, high, low.
So how long does the high last and how long does the low last?
We're talking like a week at a time. Wow. So once you think about that, if you list your house during a high when a bunch of people are getting pre-qualified, and this is national. Like if you look at the national average for new loan applications and you break it down, it's crazy how it's very wonky. High, low, high, low, right? So if you think about your listings, if you happen to list at a high when a bunch of people just got pre-qualification, you're going to have more people going out and putting offers on houses. Where if you list it the next week, a lot of those people already went out. They're on houses. Ivanka's an agent in Knoxville, an amazing agent in Knoxville. I know she sees the wonky.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's interesting that the mortgage, we're seeing it, and it's not exactly rate driven. It is a little bit. I'm not going to say the rate part isn't in there because our rates are very much like this too, but there's a delay. So the rates will dip. The news starts talking about it like a week later than they should. For the love, they dip for 3 days and we're already back up, right? But that dip will create a little bit of energy. Oh, we're in the low 6s. We were in the low 7s. Let's go put our application in. By the time they're approved, it's back to the 7s. You missed that. It was exactly 9 hours. But then we have that infiltration of those applications. So I wonder if that wonkiness is following the trend of applications.
Wow.
It makes perfect sense to me.
It does make perfect sense.
Yeah.
Yes.
We just had a discussion with a seller who's been on market a little while. Still no need to freak out yet, right? We're not having near days on market. And that was part of the discussion, is that your buyer might just be in the pre-qualification process right now. And the way inventory was for at least the last 2 years, we had so little of it that buyers were pre-qualified and they were sitting in the starting blocks waiting for the gun to fire. That's not the case right now, right? So there is this delay, which is closer to a more normal,
Yeah.
a more normal process.
Ivanka said they've got to listen to you, and that goes on both sides. They've got to listen to their realtor for the listing, but for the lending side of that, I feel like on top of, and my whole team, we've all said this, that right now, each loan approval is harder. So before, when rates were good, you had those top buyers that you literally took the application. I didn't even have to send them the underwriting. They're getting approved. So that gives you that backlog. Now we're like, listen, we're not going to go make offers on houses until we go for a full underwrite. We get your income. And a lot of times it's, we need you to do this, this, and this. And then you can go buy houses.
Yep.
And I think I'm having that conversation 20% more than I did a year and a half to 2 years ago. So I think that we're also seeing a level of the buyers that are hitting the market are not as quick to be able to pull the trigger, which goes right back to the wonkiness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And another thing that I would say is an element in all of this is the newish way of doing business for the agent side of it, right? Now that buyers are having to sign an agreement with agents, and I know in some states they were already doing that, but not in all of them. Everybody's taking things a little more serious before getting in the car to go look at property, right?
Yes.
So
yes.
That's pretty important. And I can understand as a buyer having to sign an agreement that says I'm going to pay you X number of dollars. They're kind of stepping back when it wasn't that way, right? It was like, sure, yeah, let's all go, get in the car together, stop at Starbucks, drive through for some coffee and go look at houses. There was no commitment.
Right. And you had the wheel kickers, like she said, people just want to go look at houses, and the realtor thinks they need to stay busy, and they'll do it.
Right. And that is one of it. They have to feel busy, and I don't want to like just say everybody. Some agents, especially newer agents, are going to go ahead because they need the client, right? So I have a newer agent who has said, I have shown them 50 homes. In my career as a realtor, when I was busy and successful and feeling like a professional businesswoman, I would not have shown somebody 50 homes.
Right.
That relationship would have been like they're tire kickers, right? They enjoy my company on a Saturday afternoon, right?
They're not paying you for it.
Karen, you say, would you, where would you draw where would you draw the line? Or
yeah.
I know how I drew the line, but where is your line drawn?
Yeah, I think it has less to do with the number than it does with the motivation that you see out of the buyers, right? If you've shown them 50 homes and they've not even put pen to paper one time, they're not ready. And they're not ready as in they don't even know what they want, right? Yeah. But there's a process with every buyer that's very different. And sometimes part of the process is determining where they actually want to be price-wise, where they actually want to be location-wise. Yeah. And that takes time, takes showings, and can add up to those high numbers, right? But if they're not adjusting along the way, then that's where you have to cut it off.
Yeah, I want to agree with Ivanka, where she says I'm at 10 houses or less, and I agree. When if I knew that, like, we know our stats, days on market. My stat was it was 6 or 7 homes, right? And then a serious buyer would pick a house, right? So if you're at 20, then we aren't either asking the right questions, or they really are enjoying my company on a Saturday afternoon, looking at a couple homes, right? And I'm letting them do this for 6 months.
Right? So
that's a long time.
On the lender's side, similar, but ours is more of, because once you're approved with us, I'm not showing properties. It's a little bit easier, right? Just keep your update and don't change anything. Don't change anything. So we have the tire kickers that think, oh, I've got a 515 credit score and I want to buy a house. And they come to me, and I'm sorry, if you have a 515 credit score, you know your credit sucks. You did not come to me not knowing that you haven't paid your bills in the last 6 months. I have a test that is, if they are going to be they're the diamond in the rough. Every once in a while, you get a diamond in the rough that really wants to buy a house, and now they're focused and they're ready to move forward. But I send them an email. So if I get one of those that's below a 550, and it's going to be a 6 to an 8 to a 12-month plan to get them to where they can buy, I'm not going to not give them time. I will give them time. They got to show commitment. I send them an email that says, hey, you need to do some credit work. I give credit work 1 hour of 1 hour twice a week. So there's 2 hours that you can schedule with me, and they fill up. You've got to go and schedule your time, and you've got to show up. If you schedule your time and you show up, they've actually given me that's that commitment you talked about, Karen. Mm-hmm. And then I'm like, okay, now we're going to go through the plan, and I give them, and I'll spend an hour with them working on their credit development because they've showed up. They didn't just do it. I will tell you that 90% of those people don't do that.
They don't show up.
They're not even committed enough to make a scheduled appointment and to show up. They might make the scheduled appointment and they don't show up. That happens a lot.
I can see that. It kind of goes hand in hand with why they are where they are. Right.
Exactly. Some people are ready to dig out, and I will help. I'll help a 418 credit score if they're ready to dig out. Right? We've been there. I've been there. I've had bad credit before. I get it. And when it was time for me to dig out, I was committed enough that I would stand up and make an appointment and go show up. That's my litmus test.
Yeah.
I think it's great. Yeah, because I like I said, I have a hard time with just having a number on it, simply because there are a lot of reasons that people need to look at several houses. Probably the most common one we see is people looking under their approval, trying to like keep their payment down, but late at night, they're actually looking at the approved amount. So I'm never going to show them a house $100,000 less that's going to satisfy them. And it's just a little bit of time until they actually realize that, and then of course the other one is people looking above their price range.
Of course.
It's all training.
Absolutely.
It's all training.
Yeah. And I know during COVID, a lot of people were afraid of being homeless, right? I was like, I'm going to sell my house, but I'm not going to, how quickly can I find a home and go through multiple offers and get rejected? I mean, I get there's instances where, yes, we might be showing more homes.
Yeah.
Right. However, we've all had those buyers where they just like looking.
So we had, in the past, probably 60 days, 2 contingent offers, coming in as well as going out.
Yeah.
And anyways, I was telling old war stories where I showed my age, where the longest one I was ever involved in was 5 contingencies, and it went from California all the way back to New York. And we did it, but the look on the agents' faces who I was talking to, who've not ever had just a single one, they were pretty shocked. And it's like, well, it happens. It has happened several times over the years.
I've had 5. I think I've been I've definitely had a couple 3s. And that, as a lender, oh my goodness. Especially if you're in the middle, you're that middle one, right?
Yeah, exactly. I know. It's like waiting for the baby to be born.
That's right. It's hey, Dawn. Miss Donna came on the call with us.
One of the coaching lessons with all of that is, know your worth and know your value. Right? Yeah. We have to know our worth and we need to know our value. And yes, there's going to be some instances where it's justified if we're seeing a lot of homes, right? And there's many times where it's, and I've been there, right? I need to make rent. So I'm going to show them that 52nd home, right?
Right.
But once I caught on to my worth and my value, no.
Yeah.
You got to have that value.
Yeah, it's important. And mindset for anything. I know we talk about it. I talk about it a lot on coach calls, right? To the point where some of my clients might be rolling their eyes when the M word comes up. However, that is the foundation of our success, right? So the mindset right now, with depending on the markets, like some of my clients are still having multiple offer situations. Some of my clients aren't. They need to know the days on market, and that's what's ironic is some of those are the ones that got licensed during COVID. And they're like, what is days on market, right? But they need to know their stats, right? And they got to keep their mindset straight with this and not freak out when things go wonky. That's going to be a social post tomorrow. Don't freak out when things go wonky.
And I'm also thinking this would be a great subject for our next mastermind call too, right? To like how to set yourself up for success during this time.
Yeah. So if anybody's listening and you are in a market where it is shifting, where you do now need to know your stats and you have days on market, it is, we talked about this before we went live, is be the firefighter that runs to the fire, right? We got to run through this change with positivity and what are the opportunities and survive it and succeed in it, not just survive, but succeide.
I think there's also a big part, I'm just thinking about this, and who you surround yourself with for that mindset shift.
Yes.
Because my team is around winners, right? My team's the rock stars, and they're surrounded by rock stars. And they're doing great. So they don't have an excuse. Like, I can't say I'm just as good as everybody else on this team. I mean, they got a little ego with them. They know they're as good as everybody else on this team. So if you surround yourself with the people that are hitting that, embracing the team, they're doing the things that they can in order to be productive. If you go hang out with those people and with that mindset intentionally, that also elevates you.
I'm going to say something. I'm going to share a story. But Karen, I know you're leaving, so
okay,
I'll shoot in 2 weeks. My mom was having chemo, and I was teaching her how to use ChatGPT. So I was writing a social post, and so I wrote the rough draft, and I ran it through ChatGPT. Sorry, Karen, you're back.
I know. I was going to leave it open, and I thought, oh, the dogs will bark. I'm going to shut it down.
Okay. And the social post that I was writing was, because my grandmother used to say this all the time, and I've been working on mindset with a lot of my clients right now because of some of the wonkiness, is you are who you hang out with. So I ran it through ChatGPT. You are who you hang out with. And ChatGPT responded, and I liked it. I've never heard this before. You are as good as your worst you are as good as your worst friend. So my mom just was blown away by ChatGPT, by the way, because I mean she's never played. I mean she's 84. It's not something that and does. So it gave me a lot of food for thought that you are as good as your worst friend.
Your worst friend, yeah. And there is a mindset in that as well. I feel like sometimes we think that I have definitely had this moment. I know we've all been in this moment to where we see those people that are successful, and there's like that little voice in the back of our head, like I don't deserve to go hang out in that crowd. Like I don't deserve that. I'm not there yet. Maybe that's the way it comes out.
Maybe, yes.
But there is that little voice. But the reality is, if you have the mindset that you do, and you are, and that is where you belong, just that mind shift right there.
Yep.
I feel like propels that change. It gets you through all kinds of that change.
Yep.
Good night, my friend.
So I saw this. There's a lady that runs a VA company, and she had a post on Facebook today, and she posted. I'll think of it. It'll come to me. I thought of it, and then I said goodbye to Ivanka, and then it left. It will come back. Sorry, it went in and went right out my brain.
It happens. It happens.
Welcome to 60.
Do you want a total change? I'm going to give you a total change. You were talking about ChatGPT. I have to tell you my favorite thing that I've done with ChatGPT, and I've got to give Samantha, if you watch this, give Samantha all the credit for bringing this to us. But you've heard that the thing that you can get a song, you give lyrics and it records a song. Have you seen this?
Yes.
Kumo or whatever. There's a free AI that if you give it lyrics, it will basically sing a song in whatever style you want, and you can send it to somebody. It's not for commercial use. It's just for personal use. But today I went to chat and I said, pull all the information on this wonderful loan officer that works on our team from social media and her public sites. All I did was give it the name and say, pull all the information you can about her and make her a birthday song. Make her a speech and make her a birthday song. So ChatGPT then created this birthday song. I put it into the app and it made this great birthday song. It literally took me a minute and a half because
goodness.
searching. I didn't have to go search for her daughter's name and her dog's name and what her hobbies were. So if you are a listing agent and you want to stand out just a little bit for a quirky client, this is a quirky thing, right? This isn't going to be for your super professional. Or, hey, lenders, if you've got an agent that has a birthday coming up, this is a perfect thing for lenders to like give to agents, right?
Yeah.
So you go to ChatGPT, tell them who to search, like just the name, the area that they're in, so they can pull the right information. Have ChatGPT write a cute little song and then put it into the app. It was so cool. I'm like, this was 2.5 minutes, and
so
it was a lot.
Is the voice just a random voice that's singing?
Yeah, and you can pick
ChatGPT 6 months, and it'll be your voice.
Well, and it's not the AI that does the song is an actual AI just for that.
Yeah.
I want to say, I'll have to get the name of it. I think it's Kuno. It's 4 letters. Anyway, but actually, I'll pull it up while we're doing this. But you go to ChatGPT to get the lyrics. You put the lyrics in. You put the style that you want it, and then you say create, and it gives you a couple of different options, and it's pretty hilarious. It was really funny. It is called Suno, Suno. Suno. It's free.
I'll have to check that out. Yeah.
And it's free. Anyway, that was a cool AI thing. So good way to go, Samantha.
Great. And especially if you can do it around their branding, right? As
right.
I'm looking at, right? It was like use their branding.
And that's what it does. She had reviews for what her clients would say about her, and it actually used like her clients say this about her, and it used that in the song. It's like that's so perfect. It's so perfect. Anyway, there you go.
Well, there you go. Tips for lenders, tips for realtors. I suppose coaches can do it too.
I mean, you could do it for your best people. Yeah, I'm expecting a birthday song, Tanya. I'm expecting it now.
Oh, the pressure is on.
Another thing to add.
Absolutely. Well, it won't be long between when you and I go live and we start talking about our new community, the Hive. It's coming.
I know it's coming.
Right?
Yeah.
We've got to get some eyes on the graphics and stuff on our landing page, but it's getting there. I mean, it's coming to fruition.
Yeah, and the idea is a community where professionals can go and really have a resource for all of their entrepreneurs, right? People that just need a community of entrepreneurs to help them grow in whatever way. It's gonna be cool. I'm excited.
And real estate professionals. So somebody was asking me about the Hive, like what's your vision? And I said real estate professionals, and they're like, oh, so you mean realtors and lenders? I'm like, yes, and anybody who touches a house. It could be a stager, it could be a home inspector, it could be a title company, right? It's like anybody that's touching a house. We need a community where where there's chat rooms and breakout sessions, and we'll bring in professionals that can do some teaching. So it won't just be on you and I to do it, right? However we can, right? Yeah. And I'm really excited about it.
I know. It'll be fun. It'll be very fun. I also hit a milestone this week.
Yay.
Recharging with Champions.
Yes.
Now has a K next to how many followers we have. So my goal was to hit 1,000 followers. Kid you not. I told JW, I was like, I want to get 1,000 followers. I want to have a 1K instead of a number for my followers by July 1st. And I went today. We're on July 1st. I hit 1,000. I was like, what is this? But yeah, on July 1st, we hit 1,000 followers on the social media
platform. And I love that there was a dedeline, right? I mean, here comes the coach in me. I was coaching somebody today that is in the corporate world. He works he works for Credit Karma. And I was coaching an executive there, and he doesn't like putting deadlines on his goals. So we had a bit of a, cool 30-minute session on what's the fear and what's the objection, because he sets goals but doesn't put deadlines on them.
Does he hit
You
them?
know why. You can
Yeah.
guess why.
Does he hit those goals?
Some of them.
And some people are motivated without the deadline. They probably, without saying the deadline, they have it in the back of their head. Like they have it there.
I don't disagree at all. However, if you don't have it like by July 1st, you're not setting up for any kind of failure. Okay, I said I was going to do it, but I didn't say when. Right? It's a safety thing.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I don't want to fail. I don't want to fail.
Right. Yeah, I don't want any I don't want any pressure on me. All kinds of stuff. But it was an interesting conversation.
I've seen people be so hung up on the date that if they don't hit it by the date, they do get so discombobulated that they just give up. So there's a flip side of that. You gotta have a date to try to set for it. And if you miss it, you don't beat yourself up totally over it. You look and see what you should have done to try to hit it and reevaluate. But we're coming up on that half year right now, right? So we're looking at that half year, looking at what are we doing now for the rest of the year. And some of them have hit their goals. Some of them had big, lofty, not easy goals, and they're off. The question is, where do you need to be? What do you need to dig in to get there? So
right, we kind of talked about it on the last live. What are we taking out of the closet and putting into the closet instead? Right, we got to look at our half yearly reviews. I don't know. I've never done quarterly reviews, and I'm thinking maybe that might not be a bad thing. I'm not saying it's good or bad. I don't know. I've always stopped my clients right now and say, okay, we've got to look at your numbers.
Yeah.
What are we taking out of the closet?
And also you've got a little bit of a premonition of what the market is doing. I will say one of the things that we've really honed in on right now that we're doing, and I feel like this was not as big of a deal when we had so many buyers, is that conversion ratio. I feel like we haven't had to work on conversion ratios as much. And in lender world, it might be a little bit of a higher, realtors probably have a higher conversion ratio, depending on how they get their business.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a lead generator, it might not be as high, but that conversion ratio. So we've done good things as a team for growing and getting new business, and they're great at being just very relational and making sure that the realtors all of the partners that send business our ways know that we're there to help their business grow. But then there's that conversion ratio, because we've got a little bit fat and happy and just knowing that, if I get half of them closed, that'll be good. And that is one that I think across the board, if we dig in on that, get that conversion ratio, it'll help with our year end. That was our focus today, this conversion ratio.
Very cool. Yeah. Well, I know all business owners out there, stop and look at your numbers and see where you're at. And of course, if you didn't set a goal in the beginning of the year, you might not know, right?
Yeah, that's true.
That was one of the podcasts I was listening to. It was actually a KW podcast, so competitor. It was a KW podcast. And they were talking, it was almost like they were listening to one of my coach calls in the beginning of the year when I have my clients set their business plan. And then I want to know what your pillars are and what pillars are you going to focus on. And then we set tactics for each pillar. And they were talking about business plan and pillars and tactics. And obviously the last one is putting it in your calendar, right? I'm like, are you listening to my coach calls? I know as a business owner, we all need to do this. And we, as coaches or mentors, consultants, we might have different words for the same thing we're all talking about. We've got to have a plan. We need to know the pillars and the tactics and the strategies, the roadmap. So it was really fun to, if anything else, I was validated. Not that I maybe needed it, but it was fun to go, you guys are listening to my coach calls.
Right, yeah. There must be some magic to this. There might be a little magic too.
Maybe I actually know what I'm doing.
Exactly right. That is exactly right.
All right. Well, I know you probably have a new puppy to get to.
I wish. I'm in Louisville.
Oh, you're not. You're in Louisville. Yeah.
My husband has a puppy he's dealing with.
He's doing the puppy training and the potty training, picking up the pee. Okay.
All the fun stuff. Yes, I miss the puppy. I don't sleep as well without my puppies.
So what have you named her? Is it a her or him?
It's a her, and we have decided on Daisy. Daisy is her name. Daisy, and I get to drive her, so I'm driving Miss Daisy.
Daisy. So. Yep. Well, and your big puppy, I'm Charlie, sure is having fun with her.
No,
there's some jealousy stuff going on.
He wants to be the only child.
I see.
But he's not being mean. He's just not being playful with her, which I would hope that he'd be playful.
Yeah.
There you go.
They'll get there. They'll get there. Yeah. All right. Well, we'll be back in 2 weeks, everybody. Thank you, everybody who made tons of great comments. So thank you for the interaction. We appreciate it. And anything else before we sign off?
I think we're good. Have an amazing
dinner time for me. All right. Mindset. Run to the fire. Bye.
Find your tribe.
Yep. Very good.